Good morning, everyone. Rise and shine with Global Entertainment News TV. I am your host, Rusola, ready to kickstart your day with all the fresh news and stories. And right here with me, bringing our host back to the studio is Bella. Let's dive into today's headline, fresh from the Vanguard and the Daily Trust. Today's top story from the Vanguard: blackout. Businesses suffers as national grid collapse again. In another tweet, the X account stated that the disco load of all power distribution companies across the country aside Ibadan Disco have come down to 0 megawatts. Disco load is the amount of power in megawatt FW allocated from the national grid to each electricity distribution company (DISCO). Meanwhile, the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company (AEDC) said that the national grid collapsed at about 11:23 a.m. The company made this known on its verified Twitter handle in Abuja. It said, "Please be informed that the power outage currently being experienced is due to a loss of supply from the national grid at about 11:23 a.m. on Wednesday." According to the company, the outage affected electricity supply across its franchise areas. Shortly after the collapse, the Nigerian National Grid, an X-handle that provides updates on electricity power distribution, announced that system restoration is in progress.
So, national grid collapsing is no longer even a new thing
At all
because
for us.
Nigeria has already come to the terms of accepting that even though the national collapse did not even happen, there
There's
are
still no light.
still no light. So we are now living in darkness, and in most parts of not just every part of Nigeria is now living in darkness. If you're lucky enough, and then they say even those that they band it here and there, band A, band this, band that, are still suffering, and then extracting the amount of money from them for electricity bills and all that. And well, all this one is just as if that they are trying to use it for one cover up or the
Mm-hmm.
other. Because I don't understand why in a big country where there is president, where there is this and that, I keep on saying this, in a country that have a president, we are experiencing insecurity, electricity, health sector, poor health sectors, poor school, and all that. It's really getting out of hand these
Yeah,
days.
it's getting out of
It's
hand
not even looking good on my
at
own. I
all.
can't even feel proud of it that in some areas someone is going to ask me, where are you from? And then I'll feel proud that I'm from Nigeria.
Nigeria.
It's really a sad one to most those that are still coming up. It's a sad one.
Yeah. All right. It's well. Let's move on. NCAA orders airlines to blacklist unruly passengers. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority (NCAA) has advised airlines to blacklist unruly passengers to serve as deterrents to others. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumers Protection (NCAA), Mr. Michael Achimugu, gave the charge during a stakeholders meeting with domestic airlines in Abuja yesterday. The purpose of the engagement was to speak to regulatory issues around unruly passengers' behavior and passengers handling protocol, unresolved refund, compensation issues, introductions of FRID bag tags and flight monitoring technology, enforcement of phone switch-off instructions and protection for cabin crew, and improved travel experience for passengers. Airlines present at the meeting include Arik, Ibom, Aero, United Nigerians, Green African, Max Air, Rano Air, ValueJet, Air Peace and Overland. Achimugu wondered why airlines complain about unruly passengers but hesitate to blacklist them to let others know it was business as usual. He reiterated that all airlines staff must be treated with dignity and respect at all times regardless of the situation.
Nigerian flights, let me say, planes and maintenance is really, really bad. So those that have actually boarded it, they have to experience a whole lot of bad misconduct and all that. And then when talking about how things has really been going, and as well that it falls with the cabin crews and all that, and it also falls with the passengers that are actually boarding the planes. So I'll also follow the rules and regulation. When they say phone needed to be switched off or put in a flight mode, it's not because of no anyone is going to take away your phone. It's for the safety, and then the plane is strictly on that. No any interruption of let me say network within your phone and also with the one on the plane as well, disturbing the let me say the pilot and all that. It's really a bad one. And when you everybody needed to treat whoever you are, because I'm boarding a plane does not give me the right to actually be misbehaving on the plane to the let me say the crews there, the hostess and all that are in that plane. Then I should no, it doesn't give me the right. We have to treat each other with dignity and also respect. You as the hostess does not have to treat me bad because I'm boarding a plane or whatever. But Nigerians, we are all based on that we forget where, how, and where to treat people with respect and dignity. And it's really a sad one. So the aviation minister actually coming out to talk about that and then blacklisting those that actually bring out the unreal character and all that needed to be put aside, and those that have been offended needed to be compensated. The way is actually a good one.
Yeah, what he said was a good one, but at the same time, the way he brought out the punishment for those that misbehave to their crews, there should be a punishment for those crews misbehaving to passengers.
Yeah, there's a punishment for the both side. It's not just the passengers alone there's a punishment for both sides.
Because there is a lot we are not seeing, but they know. Sometimes they misbehave to the passenger, sometimes their flight is being rescheduled and they don't tell anybody, they don't let them know.
That is it. That is when I started with the way Nigerian airlines and lack of maintenance and all that is happening. That is when I started to feel that everything needed to be put into a good step.
Yeah. All right, to our next story. Police in Delta arrest 80 armed robbery. Other suspected. Delta State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Olufemi Abaniwanda, yesterday said 80 suspects involved in armed robbery and other activities were arrested by the command in the month of August 2025. Abaniwanda made the disclosure while addressing newsmen at the State Police Command's headquarters, Asaba, on the achievements of the command in the month of August. He said 31 firearms, 86 ammunition and cartridge, as well as 50 laptops and phones were also recovered within the month. Delta can attest to the fact that in recent times, the state has become very hot for criminals. I continue to assure all the Deltans that the command under my watch will not relent in this mandate and will continue to go after criminally minded individuals in the state and ensures that they are arrested and brought to justice, he said. On one of the latest arrests, Abaniwanda said that on August 16, 2025, about 5:11 a.m., operatives of Rapid Response Squad of Delta State Command, while on stop and search along DBS Road, Asaba, intercepted one Basi, aged 39-year-old, carrying a cross bag.
Um, Criminal inversion and all that is really let me say a terrorizing in any state that they actually form their own gang and all that, because they are capable of kidnapping, they are capable of armed robbery, capable of a a lot of things, and that is really a sad one. We're still going to. There are some people that is going to be out there, or let me just say, I for one was going to say that the state of the country can. It's actually leading a whole lot of youth into doing the unthinkable, and there are some because it's in human nature. People are there that are actually contented with whatever that they are having, and they don't want it to go into any illegal form because they have conscience that is actually judging them in every step that they take. And then there are people that they don't feel contented with what they have because they wanted to have a lot of it and they wanted to be able to do some certain things in it. And when you now look at the way of families and all that pressuring and all that coming from different angle, it's going to push you to do the unthinkable just because you wanted to earn respect and dignity back, because that is the only thing that can money can be the one to buy you anything. That is what I feel like it's leading most of Nigerian youth into doing the illegal things, robbing, kidnapping, cyber fraudsters and all that, and it's really, really a bad thing.
Yeah.
Everything should be working well, and then everyone is things are not this expensive. Everyone is earning a money that can actually satisfy them for a whole month before the other salary will come in, and then you still have something left. Even when the other salary comes in, it's just like plus to it, and then you from there you'll be able to actually save enough. But right now you are even struggling before the month end. The first salary has
It's
already
gone.
it's gone, and then it's not even enough. So we really need to work hand in hand, let the government do the needful, and let those the youth actually leave those kind of illegal things, and then
Face the right one.
face the right one.
So, okay, let's move on. Tinubu's policy are killing manufacturing. That's nothing to brag about by owning fashion. A braggart by nature, President Bola Tinubu is never shy of boasting about what he self-referentially believes are his achievements in managing Nigeria's economy. Recently, he boasted that his administration had met its revenue target for 2025 sooner than expected in August and would no longer borrow domestically. Speaking to members of a group called the Buhari Organization, who visited him on September 2, Tinubu said, "Today, I stand here before you to brag. Nigeria is not borrowing. We have met our revenue target for the year, and we met it in August." In a country where there is no independent think tank like the UK Institute for Fiscal Study to provide credible and unbiased counterpoint, the Nigerian government and its agencies are the only purveyor of data and narrative on the economy. Yet, when presidential spokesperson, I call them sophists, and government agencies talk about the economy, they give the appearance of solidity to pure mind and put lipstick on a pig.
Um, I would like to start off with this. It's really something that for the for us to actually think and then maintain a pretentious way of how the state is actually living. If a president can actually boast in an international conference and says that Nigeria is at peace, there is no terrorism,
No
no
kidnapping,
kidnapping,
insecurity.
no insecurity, there is stable light and all that, then we all know that is he's been depriving us of external help, and still yet he's still borrowing. He also coming out to and says that Nigeria has actually met its revenue targets, and then Nigeria is no longer borrowing. They are still talking about the borrowing that he did was not few months ago, and then everyone was still in shock on why the president would
Go and
still
borrow that kind
ask
of
for
amount.
another loan to add to the one. It was yesterday we are talking about 143.39 trillion naira that has been in Nigerian debt record. We are not moving any forward. So he's just making his own decision in a way that he doesn't care how we feel. It's either we feel good about it or we feel bad about it. And it's really a bad one. So we need to look at this angle of a selfish leader who only look at himself and then block the view of the rest. You're only going to benefit when you support his administration and then lick his feet, worship him, and then he's going to give you crumbles and tell you that you are welcome to the group, because he knows that the more people keep worshiping him, the more he's going to keep having people that is going to support him in the next coming election. And it's sad to see that there are still people right now that are actually ready to like give him the vote, push him forward for 2027 because they are accepting crumbs. They are all a bunch of nuisance and hypocrites that just care about themselves, and then they don't even care about how
Others.
others are
Yes.
feeling. And it's very, very sad for
It's
us
selfish.
that don't want to support this politician, but we are already suffering part of it. It's sad.
You don't even have a choice. Once they stand up and say it is, that's what it is. Like it's so painful,
we,
sincerely.
we, we give them the words to say that we don't have a choice. Whatever they say is it's so be it. So if we stand our ground and then we say we then it could have been another thing, but we have already given them the rope to the bull, so they can pull it anyhow, do it whatever they want, and then you get nothing for it.
So, all right, let's move on to our top story from the Daily Trust. 4 children, 8 others died in tanker accident. The Imo State Police Command confirmed that a gas tanker with registration number T16716LA and marked with the inscription New Peg was driving against traffic when it crashed into the bus, which was carrying members of the Jehovah's Witness Church from Anambra State to Gwa village in Imo State. Henry Okoye, the police spokesperson, said 8 adults and 4 children lost their lives in the accident while 8 others sustained injuries. He said all the deceased has been taken to Ogbaku mortuary and the injured are receiving treatment at Divine Hospital Awo Omama. Okoye added that the police have launched an investigation into the crash, adding that the road has since been cleared and traffic flow restored through the coordinated efforts of the police and road safety personnel.
My condolences to those that have lost their lives.
Yes.
One thing about Nigeria, most people, most drivers, let me say commuters and then motorists, they don't follow the rules of traffic and traffic lights and all that. We just wanted to, because even if the rules were set, we are still going to be the one to go against it. Road accidents is something, it can be prevented. It cannot be, nothing can be, it's still going to happen. But at the other side, that those that are the motorists, the commuters, and those, they needed to take cautions and be careful on how they drive on the road to prevent loss of life. We can't be counting 100 to 200, 300, even 1,000 in a year, that these are those that lost their life in a road accident. It has to be reduced. Before it's going to happen, let us know that at least, let me just say, 10, 50 in a year can say that it's due to tragic or on, but Nigerians needed to start sticking to road rules and regulation, not just, you can imagine, you didn't even pay attention to the traffic light, you just brush ahead and then hit families. That is very sad.
Yes, very sad. My condolences to those that lost their life. All right, let's move on. Strike. Resident doctors give federal government fresh 24 hours. The association had earlier issued a 10-day ultimatum to relevant government agencies, warning that members would embark on a nationwide strike if their demands were not met. Resident doctors, who constitute the majority of the medical workforce in teaching and specialist hospitals, have repeatedly gone on strike in recent years over unpaid wages, poor welfare, and inadequate working conditions. The doctors are demanding immediate payment of the outstanding 2025 Medical Residency Training Fund, settlement of 5 months arrears from the 25 to 35% consolidated medical salary structure review, and other long-standing salary block lodge. Others are the payment of the 2024 accoutrement allowance arrears, prompt disbursement of specialist allowance, and restoration of the recognition of the West African Postgraduate Membership Certificates.
We talked about this yesterday, that it is not just about the
Electricity
in
alone.
the health sector that's supposed to be tend to, but also their welfare and the salary that needed to be paid to them. Because if this thing have to keep on going on for a health care worker is not being paid at the right time, at the giving their own wages and their upkeep coming monies, it's really going to be a very sad one, that those medical personnel would indulge into different type of things like
Yeah.
harvesting people's organs and then selling it and trying to make money. It's not even supposed to be happening in Nigeria. You are not even supposed to in a big country that all those people, the security personnel, the electricity personnel, the health sector, the teachers that is working for the government have to be begging the government for their payment
Money.
while the governments are there increasing their salary and then
Exactly.
it's being
Enjoying.
signed immediately without even a second thought. It's why?
Just like sincerely is sad because when I think of this over and over, I be like, why is Nigeria like this? Can't the government, or let me just use the word, let me use president, can't he like just step out on his game? This that he's doing will not pay him, and neither will it pay us because it is destroying us gradually until we just wake up one day and be like, Nigeria has finally collapsed. Sincerely. All right,
Mm.
let's move on. 31% of Nigerians women suffer sexual physical violence. She said the statistics reflected the stark reality of the country despite some progress recorded in the fight against gender-based violence. The minister said that across Nigeria, 31% of women aged 15 to 49 have experienced physical violence, while over 28% have suffered sexual violence at least once in their lifetime. These are not mere statistics, they are doctors, sisters, mothers, and neighbors. Each numbers carry a human face and a human story. They remind us the gender-based violence is not a private problem but a community crisis that undermines peace, family life, and development. The minister said the statistics show that major stakeholders must act urgently with both compassion and commitment. Also speaking, the State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Motúnráyọ̀ Adijat Adeleye, explained that the Sexual Assault Referral Center (SARC) and the Women Development Center were established because the state government believes that healing must go hand in hand with rebuilding.
I always says that I'm against this. So it's going to be like, are you a woman? No, I'm against this. So if there was any way that those statistics needed to be in a balance sheet and then we needed to have a good database, it's not about who come in and says that they are giving a testimony of whatsoever because if you're going to look at it, there is a lie between all those things. If there was to be a good digging into those things, you're going to find out that both genders actually suffers sexual
Violence.
violence and then let me say
Assault.
abuse and assault as well. It is not just this
Not
person
women alone.
this person comes to meet me and then tell me what she passed through and you didn't even make a proper digging into it and then you find out in the news today, especially in Nigerian news, if you are very, very close to some things, you are going to find out that women tend to actually abuse men the more this time around if there is going to be a very good because there's this now basic of a group of the women that all they just wanted to do a false accusation of rape, a false accusation of abuse, a false accusation of all that, all in the name that the both genders are actually fighting themselves. A paternity fraud that is actually coming from the women. Let me say, how should I say, child fraud when a woman has to actually plan another pregnancy of another man to his or her relationship, husband or even a partner, and then they all have to deal with that. If this thing needed to be sorted out accordingly, we're going to find out that out of those things, it's 50-50 for both the men and the women that is actually suffering in this abuse of a teen. So let us not just going to focus it all in
Only
on that.
women.
Yes, everybody has their own backside. Everyone has their own backside, but having the heart to actually inflict harm to others is a very, very sad thing to do. So this thing, I'm not going to be
Support
in
it.
support of it. They have to be a very good database women to abuse men and men to abuse.
Well, what I would say is just that they should continue to give on educational awareness, let people know this and what is good and what is not good, and they should like their eyes should be on check every now and then. They should not just like because all this to me, I feel like it's a propaganda. They are not doing anything
Well, talking about education, yeah, you can actually teach an adult that was raised and brought up in violence.
in a bad home.
Because if you're going to look at it, a couple can be fighting. The husband is saying, the wife is saying, they are both punching themselves. No one wants to give in. They are both fighting. That is not an abuse. That they are both fighting themselves. It's a war between them, and then they'll still settle it later and then try to caution themselves. So teaching them how to actually live with one another is actually a very bad one. It depends on the heart, the genuineness, the empathy one carries that is going to allow someone to actually be so comfortable to live with one another and then sort things out maturely and not to result into abuse, harm, and all that violence.
Yeah. You said it all. All right, viewers. Thank you for joining us on the Breakfast Show today. I've been your host, Bisola. Be sure to join us again tomorrow. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news and updates on Global Entertainment News TV. And have a blessed day. Bye.